Yeah, I sound a bit raspy. So Jackson keeps wanting me. He loves my Mario impressions, and I'm really struggling to do them. So I'm not going to do
You
one
have to
now.
now do one
No,
now. You
no.
can't say that and not do it.
It's going to sound weird because it's all raspy. Woohoo! It's me, Mario. Wah!
Hey, if you thought vehicle compliance was sexy and interesting, then you've come to the right place. This is The Rock Show, a kind of down the pub chat about transport compliance and how it is good for us all. I'm Alan, the CEO,
And I'm John, head of compliance at Compliance Rocks.
and welcome to The Rock Show. Well done. You did say it well. Yeah. Yeah, I guess what I wanted to chat about this week was it was kind of it was actually the topic of my podcast, my blog post this week, and it kind of resonated quite well with the team, didn't it? Really, I think everyone. I sent it to you guys, well, you and Stu to have a read of, and suddenly the word iteration got used an awful lot more in the following 24 hours, which was quite nice to have you guys actually read my content and not just go
Words.
yes, but actually take it in and see the value in it. So yeah, I get. Well, John, what did you interpret from what I said?
Well, I was the first one, I think, to read it, and I think it, it, it opened my eyes. Obviously, you and I had a bit of a conversation about this, didn't we? And it's opened my eyes about a lot of things. I don't think even when you're a business owner, it comes into things. It's like when I've been middle management, you know, supervisory level, middle management, doing things and thinking, nope, I can only release this when I'm 100% happy with it. And I think
Yeah.
as well in some previous jobs, even senior management have pushed you to not be.
Oh, really?
I can't say the word. I want to say iterative.
There you go.
Yeah, words. And sometimes they would push you not. Sorry, I just kicked my computer. They would sometimes push you not to be like that. Like, no, yeah, give me a rough or draft, air quotes, and it's like I've always strived for no, it's got to be 100%. It's got to be 100%, and I think it did. It really did change my thought process.
That's good.
Especially massively as a business owner like you. You'll always go no, we should really try and push it at this amount, get it tested. A and B testing. And it really. I said this word already. I say it again. It's really resonated with me, and it's not very.
That's good.
It's not very often. Like, I'm honest with you and the whole team. I
It's not very often that you're honest with me.
it's as in I don't normally enjoy reading. I've told you plenty of times. It has to be a subject
Yeah.
I really enjoy. I read, but it has to be something. You've given me loads of things in the past to read, and I've never really engaged with it. And I'm honest with you. I say I couldn't get into it. But that I'm really building you up here, aren't I? I'm really putting you on a pedestal. So
Little, yeah, a little bit.
yeah. I'm glad you got the tea cozy on. Hold your head in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it did.
Well, you don't want to see the haircut underneath. That's why I'm wearing the hat. So you didn't care. You left yours out, but
I know they've seen the change in the hairstyle, but no, it did. It really has changed, and I thought about it a lot over the weekend. I think it's going to make me better at my job, and also make me better in understanding things.
why we do things a certain way as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I mean the reason I decided to write that blog specifically, it's funny because I write a lot. My core job most of the time at the moment now is writing words, whether it is notes for podcasts, whether it is blog posts we have two blogs we run at the moment.
Yeah.
So we've got the Rocks blog, and then we've got our normal blog for our clients. I write 3 newsletters a week. I edit scripts and things like that for Toolbox Talk. So I write a lot of words, and I've never been one for writing. I never really enjoyed English at school. I never really enjoyed the act of creative writing. But in the last few years, when I realised that it's the way to communicate to lots of people, the potential way to communicate with lots of people, I'm a perfectionist, and I do get hung up on details. That's one thing I've had to learn, as you say, is actually a lot of my podcast, a lot of my writing, sorry, a lot of my blogs at the very least, I don't proofread them.
No.
I send them to you to make sure there's no grammatical errors and there's no kind of spelling typos, and making sure sometimes if it's a subject matter that I'm not as aware of, that it's factually correct. But I don't proofread it, because as soon as you proofread it, you go, oh well, I don't. Okay, I'm gonna have to move it all around, and then it's like, what took me, like, for example, that blog post I wrote was what, 1,000 words, 750 words.
Yeah,
it's not massive, but that took me about 20 minutes to write. I managed to get that. I knew that subject matter. I was like, bam, got it out. I didn't even read it back. I think I read it to Mary out loud, and I noticed one typo in there, and then you guys read it, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Where some other of my blogs I write, I could sit there for hours staring at a blank screen, just the cursor blinking, waiting for the first word. So this is something I'm quite passionate and quite knowledgeable about, I guess, in terms of kind of iterative design and the iterative process. But I guess the reason I started talking about it was our platform that came kind of back to us last week, which is quite exciting, wasn't it?
Incredibly exciting. It is.
And
I was about to say the code name for it, but I couldn't. I stopped myself there for a second.
well, the internal code name, I guess we could say the name is not a big deal. It's not going to be.
We should just give a clue to it and let people figure it out and comment back to us what they think it is. It's
if you make the reference to the film it actually came from, nobody's going to get that. So
well, yeah, it's from Thor Ragnarok.
Again, nobody is going to get that. I've not even seen that film yet. I'm almost there. I say I'm working through the MCU series at the moment. I've just watched. Well, I watched Avengers Assemble. That was the last one I've watched. So
wow, you are behind.
Yeah, but I've also watched Agent Carter seasons 1 and 2, which is like
that's
2 or 3 months worth of watching. So yeah, I'm watching all the series in as we go through as well. It looks like you're slapping me in the face. I know you're trying to swat away a fly, but it looks like you're trying to give me a Batman slap.
I was doing a miniature dab.
A puppy died.
Yes, drowned. Oh, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, a bit harsh. Yeah, no. The platform, obviously we got back the first iteration of from the dev team last week. It's quite exciting, actually, isn't it? I mean, we've shown it to the team now. I think everyone in the team's seen it. You and I have been through it kind of at length. But you compare that to what we're currently using with our clients, and it is worlds apart. But we wouldn't have got to where the platform is now had we not built what we built first. Like we had to build my dashboard, as we call it, with our clients, and the Dropbox folder structure. Because that we could get out. I mean, how long did the Dropbox folder structure take to build?
A day.
A day or two to come up with.
Planning and sort of brainstorming what we wanted in there. But yeah, it was pretty,
easy. And I think we got about 3 or 4 months in and we actually reviewed it and changed it again, didn't we? Because there was a few bits that we didn't like and it could be done better.
I think we changed it twice. I think we added twice in the first 12 months. We did 2 versions, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess to clarify for some of our listeners and viewers who don't necessarily know how we operate, we currently use Dropbox as our way of giving back the information to our clients, help them manage their documentation and their records in a digital format. We use Dropbox, so it's nothing special. Just you and I are anally retentive when it comes to folder structure and file types and file names.
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm glad I found someone in the world that is anally retentive as I am about folder names and folder structures, because there's certain people in our team, that are not like this, not mentioning any names. Stu.
Organisation's exciting and it's fun.
There's so many sound bites that we can clip out of this. It's brilliant. Yeah, so I mean, it's not nothing special about the Dropbox structure. It just the fact that it is organised in a way that is logical for our clients to use is the key point. But it was always the way we process our data. I mean, you're the one that really does it more than I do. If someone submits some data to us through my dashboard, what's the workflow? What do you have to do?
Well, it comes through as an email. It explains what the email is. There's an attachment to it. I simply take the attachment, put it in the corresponding folder, and rename it. It doesn't get any more simple than that.
But it's time consuming.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it still takes time dragging things across, then renaming it, and of course, and also I do make mistakes sometimes. I'm a human, not a computer.
Yeah.
So sometimes I might put it in a different folder, and then when it comes to next month, I'm like, I can't find it. And then of course, but we have search functionality, but it's limited.
Yeah. So, but I think that the key point is, I mean, a client. Let's take your average client of 3 or 4 vehicles. They might submit 15, 20, maybe even 30 pieces of data, kind of like in maybe a week or two, and if you're having to do that for every single piece of every report that's made, that just takes up a lot of your time away from what you can do, which is add value in other ways. So I think that's great. And I think, but the thing is, as we said, the Dropbox was built in a day or two, and then we reviewed it every few months. Yeah, like I know that you didn't necessarily get too involved in creating my dashboard because that was slightly more technical than it was outside of your skill set a little bit. But at the moment, my dashboard is no more than a website with a few standalone forms built into it.
Yeah.
Like we use a company called Jotform. It allows you to do quite a lot of nice, sexy design stuff on the back end, so that what's submitted comes through looking a bit more like actual useful sheets of information rather than just pages of numbers and stuff. But it's still very manual, the whole process. So when we approached the company that Rich runs, the dev team that we work with, it was kind of a no-brainer, really, wasn't it, to kind of go and say, look, take our money, please build us something that saves you time, because if we can reduce your time. But then it means that we had all these wonderful ideas, didn't we? We've got all these ideas of what we want this platform to do, and we couldn't do it with the current structure of my dashboard. So we had to make that leap at some point. And I think we got to the point 6 months ago that was like, we're now ready to make that jump.
Yeah.
And we did. And obviously finances and coronavirus has slowed things down somewhat, which is why we're a bit behind schedule. But there's nothing that Rich has already got something to us that we can now look at and play with. So like we've had a few sessions of going through it. And actually what we came up with a great idea last week, didn't we? What did we come up with?
Well, they were thinking we have to wait until it's fully ready, and they were like, hold on, using the 75% rule, we can actually roll this out now. Because it's not going to have every single feature that we want it to, but of course, going back to what we started at the beginning, we started with what we wanted. It didn't have every feature, but it worked and it made people's lives easier. So we can introduce this now and make clients' lives obviously a lot easier, but also mine.
Yeah, I mean, it was always going to be rolled out with our clients as soon as it was ready. That was never a problem. It was more, we were going to use it as a tool to help people and help us. But we made this realization with a little bit of tweaking that we didn't even foresee until we actually saw it visually. We could do a couple tweaks, which wouldn't take too long, and we could actually sell this as a standalone product. We could actually get this and go, look, this is a thing that a client can use as much or as little as they want, and it will make their life easier without us ever having to get involved with them. So it'll be a completely different proposition to our clients. It'll no longer be, here's a system that we use to help you keep to fours. Here's a system you can use to keep yourself compliant, but you can use it. We don't get involved in processing data. We don't get involved in reporting stuff. We don't get involved in writing kind of audits and stuff. We just simply go, look, here are the tools, do it yourself. And that, to me, would never have happened so quickly had we gone for this massive end goal. We would have probably missed the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think so.
So I think although iteration is great because it means that you don't waste time on pointless things, it also means you don't miss things as well.
Yeah.
I think we would have missed this opportunity had we tried to spend too much time getting to what we would deem as perfect.
Yeah.
And we're going to put this, and we've not shown clients this yet, to be fair. We've not got it in front of clients.
No, not yet.
They might turn around and go, it's all crap. Don't like this, don't like that. Can that be there? It's like, okay, cool. Okay. If we'd spent 6 months full-time development and invested 200 grand in this, I'd be really pissed off. The fact that we spent 6 months part-time with a few people working on it and far less than 200 grand, if they turn around and go, it's crap, well, okay, we can make it better. The money we've saved by not doing that means that we can then spend it on other things in further development kind of cycles. Yeah. So to me, it is a no-brainer. So I guess the reason I came up with this topic to talk about on the blog last week and for today was we've used it in product development. So in going from where we use Dropbox on my dashboard at the moment through to this platform we've built. And then from there, we're going to iterate and improve on that with further features and further things we want it to do. You kind of may realise that it does also apply to everything else. So it kind of comes into, as we started at the beginning of this conversation about our blog posts and our writing and stuff. And John, you've done a little bit more writing in the last few weeks, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Part of your job has changed a little bit. And how has it helped with that?
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, yeah, the little bit of writing that I have done, of course, it makes it easier because you're not under so much stress and strain to just wait until it's finally complete. So now I've sent it off, being reviewed, bit of feedback, comes back, bit more done, then it's ready to go. Instead, instead of being a lengthy process.
And I guess actually, when you allow the pen to flow and your fingers to kind of dance across the keyboard without too much worry about the end product, ironically, I think you get a better product.
Yeah, I think you take more risks as well.
Yeah, and I think you come up with phrases and come up with ways of explaining things that just you wouldn't have come up with it. It's why sometimes if I'm struggling to write a blog post, I'll have a beer. Make sure I'm in the evening, obviously, and I'll have a beer. And usually that relaxes me enough to get the juices flowing, and then I go crack on.
I had a whiskey at 8 o'clock this morning. That helps.
But yeah, I think, as I say, you've been working on some case studies this week, like really kind of interviewing. I guess I was guilty of this because last year I started doing what you're doing this week. I started coming up with case study templates and case study questions, and I interviewed one of our clients, and I kind of got it. And I was like, the information was great, but I just wasn't. I got too hung up on the details. And actually, I think what you've done is you've gone. And then we tried to get one of the team to do it. It didn't work that well, and so now you've taken it on. And now it's like, I wept. There was a tear rolling down my cheek when I read what you wrote to me when you wrote last week. Like, I take the mickey a little bit, but when I read it to the team last Friday, and we did during our retrospective session, like everyone gave you a round of applause, didn't they? Like what? And it wasn't sarcastic, ironic.
The pressure is now on because now I'm thinking the next one, it's not going to be that good. I've run out of steam.
Yeah, but don't think like that because then that starts.
Exactly.
I'm going to start worrying about.
That's why I'm back in my mind. I've got the 75%. So it's like put it out there, see what you guys think. But I suppose the question I was going to ask you about being iterative, coming from your background, not my background, how do you think hauliers in general, the haulage industry, could start being more iterative?
That's a very good segue. I'm impressed by that question.
Because you're always asking me questions, so I thought I'd throw it back at you. So I'm not answering this one.
No, but so I think the importance of regular feedback, my latest blog post on my other blog, does feed in really well. What you just done then made it look like we scripted this whole podcast. We really haven't, have we? But that came out really well and led into a really good
question. So basically, drinking in the morning is really helping my thought process.
I think so, yeah. Whiskey in the morning.
So
that was a really good question. Yeah, so I think that So the latest blog I wrote was on our other blog was the importance of regular feedback, and I think if you can build into your company culture that making mistakes is okay. I think
within reason, writing off 130 grand lorry.
Yeah, but you then got to look at the systemic failures of the company if that happens. Like if that is allowed to happen, it's because something has gone wrong way before the driver lost control of their vehicle.
I'm jesting. I didn't look for it. Yeah.
But equally, you shouldn't be afraid that if you did make that mistake, if you build a culture where you're allowed to make mistakes at a smaller level, ones that you can learn from, and it might cost money, it might make some damage, but fundamentally, if it means you don't make a bigger mistake in the future, but if you don't breed a culture where you can have mistakes being made and people owning up to things, when that big thing happens, how are you ever going to have a culture where you can learn from it? Let's say the worst thing happens, you do run someone over and kill someone. Okay, it's happened, it's terrible, there has to be an investigation, and if you have a culture where you want to hide information, that could happen again. And what we're trying to do is avoid these things happening again. That's why you're allowed to fail at a smaller level. It's why we built our products, we built them small, and then we build out from there. Because if you make a mistake at this level, it's not costly, it doesn't damage anyone, and then in the future, hopefully you've learned from it and not going to make that mistake again.
Yeah.
So I think that's how Hauliers can is allowing people to make mistakes, and then allowing them to not feel pressured. That it's not meant to be a slap on the wrist. And I know this is quite controversial. I know that you've obviously worked in this industry you've worked in this industry and I haven't, but I think it sits across all industries. I think there's some industries that are really good at this, some that are really not. So a lot of the stuff I talk about here is in a book called Black Box Thinking, and I cannot for the life of me remember who it's by. I'm hoping someone's going to Google this while I'm talking, and no, Stu, you're going to leave me hanging here, so I'm going to have to do it myself then. Cheers, mate.
The one time you wanted Dr. Mittens to come to your rescue. He has left you. Okay,
I'll try this again. So all the stuff I'm talking about here has come from a book called Black Box Thinking by Matthew Syed. He's a really interesting bloke. He's worked with kind of high-end sports people and top of the range like business people and stuff, like people that are really, really good in their fields. And the one thing he's really taken away is allowing people to make mistakes, having a culture where you can fail and learn from it. So why do you think in every airplane they have a black box recorder and they record everything that happens? It's not so they can point fingers at people. It's so they can take the information and learn from it. And it might be pilot error. It might be a systemic problem with how things are done. But you're never going to learn that unless you actually have an open place where you can talk about these things. And I think that's where I think it does really apply to the haulage industry.
Yeah.
Is you've been involved in how many investigations throughout your working life within the industry? I'm guessing hundreds of investigations you've done being a TM. You've run big fleets, and as an account manager at Tarmac, you're involved with lots of things because things happen on the roads, don't they? Whether it's small things to big things, you're involved in a lot of things, and the whole point is to learn from them, isn't it?
I think, not putting an end to this conversation, but I think this is a really good subject to actually discuss in general. I think easily company culture, transparency, things like that. I think that could be a really interesting podcast. Maybe we should make it our season finale.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah. I think what I'm seeing that you've shown a love of books, I might choose some more book. Okay, love of reading.
Colouring books.
A book. So John, a book is a thing where words appear. It's like a blog post but longer.
If it's a pop-up book, you got me. As I open it, I want to iterative. Ooh, 75% complete. Yeah. Okay. So it won't come up that high then. Only 75%.
Yeah. But no, there's a few books that I've read that I'd really benefit from reading again. If we read them together, we'd then be able to have some really in-depth discussions about some of these things. Because Black Box Thinking is a fantastic book, and it is actually really easy to read as well. It's not for the jargon because it's not aimed at one specific industry, so you can't use industry-specific jargon. So it covers things from healthcare. I know what you're thinking. You don't want to read a book.
No, I was just thinking. I thought I might join a book club when I'm in my sort of like late 40s, early 50s. But I'm up for it now.
Yeah.
I'm Richard and you're Judy. Just putting it out there.
Okay.
Actually, no. We get Dr. Mittens involved. He's got the hair for Judy. So.
No. Yeah, no, but I think if we could, in another podcast, I think company culture is a really important one. We could definitely talk about that in the next podcast.
I think it's even more important, depending on obviously our viewing audience and the type of people that are watching these podcasts, whether it is drivers, low-level management, or middle management, or senior-level management. I think a lot of smaller haulage firms could understand a lot about company culture. A lot of one of your blogs, what was it called again? The failings of the small operator. Was that what the title?
Oh yeah.
And it goes back to, again, we're kind of going full circle here, but it's like we wrote in that a lot of small companies are slating like, Stobarts are beating us. They're doing it for but there's a lot of things that a smaller operator can do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's worth maybe us resharing that blog. Again, it's a really good blog that you wrote.
Yeah, I think we could definitely put that on the socials for people to watch.
But it's about getting them to understand company culture and delicious company culture and transparency. No, your room has great acoustics. But I think it's worth them understanding that.
I think maybe I think we could maybe pull apart company culture in another series potentially. I'll cover it over a couple of podcasts because I think there's company culture is really important. I mean, we went to a seminar on company culture a few months ago, and it really influenced how we ran our business. Actually, hasn't it? Like genuinely.
Well, yeah, I joked. Yes,
it has actually.
We went there, didn't we? And I was like, "This is so not me." It was in Shoreditch, and everyone looked like Alan, and I lost him in a wave of Alans. I was like, Alan. It's like, oh my god, I'm lost. I was like, there's my Alan.
Steve.
It's like, there's my Alan. So I had to pull him back sort of by the reins and guide me, my Alan. Initially I only wanted to go for the pastries and coffee, but actually it was, again, until you chuck yourself into these situations, until being a business owner like you and actually really caring about the company, I never would have done these things. So yeah, and it was really good. I think
the other thing is you've come from a different background to me, and we're trying to create a tech company, and I think we are perilously close to actually doing that properly now. With the platform coming, we can now officially say we are a tech startup.
Yeah.
And I think the way you run a tech startup is very different to how you run a small business and how you run other firms, because you could be a very small number of people can be responsible for a very large amount of responsibility and workload, because you're not selling a product that is physical. You're not moving as physical products. You're not you're not scaling what we deliver to the number of people we have. So you can do an awful lot with an small amount of people.
Yeah.
And the way you manage that sort of team is very different to how you manage a bigger team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really useful. So definitely something to talk about. But again, I mean, going back to kind of the topic at hand, iterative process. I think I use it in how we do everything, actually, in terms of how we run our team.
Yeah.
I think the way we communicate with our team, we've changed how we run our meetings. For example, our morning stand-ups they weren't working as well as they could have been, so you and I had a conversation and we changed it a little bit, and that feedback went well. This week we tried planning in our weekly planning session in a different way, and I think the planning session could have gone better this morning, for example. I think we didn't do the best we could do, but moving it from where it was on a Friday when we were trying to do feedback on the previous week and then do planning for next week, that got quite untidy. So splitting it out made sense. We've now created a new process. Let's make that better. And I think it does go through everything that at least I try and do in the company. I obviously I do the thing. I do the thing every day, which is writing and creating stuff. But I also have to sort of sit up and look at how we're doing things as a team and how we're moving forwards. And I try and apply that kind of concept to that. And I go, well, okay, we're not quite working at how I'd want to work, but we're almost there. Let's get moving with that and see how we can iterate. And then it means other people can feedback as well.
Yeah.
Like last week when I popped round to yours, John, to drop off the USB, we had a conversation, a bit of a therapy session for me. It was, I think,
heart to heart. We're waiting for the fishmonger to move.
yeah, and I was getting quite hung up on the details, and I think sometimes it's like, let's let it go, get the feedback from other people, and then we can make it better from there. And I think the end result is you always are better than where you were before. I think that's the key from all this.
Yeah,
so,
no, I agree.
No, I think. Is there anything else you wanted to add, really, about iteration and?
But no, I made it clear at the start. It's definitely changed my mindset for the better, and I feel like this morning writing the case studies and finishing off submissions. Submissions probably slightly different. I do 100% on those, but my thought process, my working process, it's still changed.
Going back to submissions, I think the process we use, yes, the information you provided was the information you provided during a submission. But we've made that better, haven't we?
Yeah.
There was something
Yeah,
that
of
came
course,
back
we've
that
improved
would
it,
maybe
made it more streamlined, and
we made your life easier by creating a playbook. So it's a lot of kind of drag and drop things, and you got paint by numbers for a lot of the generic stuff, which is fine.
which is why we have 100% pass rate.
Yeah, exactly. So 70% for some things, but 100% pass rate is where you want to be.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Back to the original question. Yeah, of course, it has changed things, and obviously, it's only recently come into my life. So hopefully, it's going to carry on. I predict it's going to affect things. God, I'm like you, aren't I? Oh my God, it's going to make my life better. Lasers. No, that's it. No, that's my final thoughts. Yes.
your final thoughts? Yes.
Yes.
I was like 2 more minutes for saying that this podcast is an example of how we iterated. The first one was really ropey. The first one we didn't even release, did we? The pilot episode we did.
Yeah.
The pilot one we did a couple of months ago when we were in the office, that hadn't even seen the light of day. And then the true pilot went live about 24 hours before we took it down. We re-recorded that, and that was actually last week's content. That was a re-record of stuff we did in the first week. So I think every week we are getting more streamlined, and actually the workflow to create it from Stu is getting better.
Yeah.
We're getting closer and closer to the deadline of actually going from recording to being in front of people. I think it's 12 hours from pressing stop to getting it in front of people, which is pretty quick these days. So yeah, I think it applies to everything we do, not just product design and product development, but every aspect and every kind of bit of our business.
Yeah. No, it is.
And so on that note, I think we'll call it a day.
Indeed.
Cool. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, if you want to follow us on Spotify, find us on YouTube, or find us on our socials.
You can like us on Instagram, follow and like us on Facebook, and also head over to compliance.rocks for more information.
And if you want to talk to us directly, feel free to send me an email, alan@compliance.rocks, or follow me on LinkedIn.
And also, if you want to get hold of me, it's john@compliance.rocks. And again, I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to follow me there.
Thanks, guys, and see you next week.
Thank you. Bye.